Good afternoon, everybody. It's December 21st, 2024. And a few months ago, I noticed that this compressor was just not working. It was just going very slow, totally useless. So I'm finally getting around to looking at the battery. I have two of these Rally units. They're model 7471 Rally Powerpacks. They're very useful. But this one's dead. And I'm finally getting around to looking at the battery now. You have to be careful when you're changing the battery. It's very easy to take this apart. First of all, there's 7 screws that you have to take out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you need a deep Phillips and a small Phillips to fit in these openings, these holes. And all the screws are the same, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. There's 7 of them, all Phillips. The screws for the battery are these, for the positive and the negative. So we're going to get to the battery in a minute. So 7 screws, then you just carefully take the sides off. The right side has a lot of business going on. It's got the charging circuitry board in there. It's got the flashlight circuitry in there. This is your main 12-volt switch that you rotate to turn on the battery, to connect the battery to the jumper cables. This is your inverter that changes the 12 volts into the 120 volts. And here's your 2 negative ring terminals and your 2 positive ring terminals. Now, very important. So these are the tools. Now you probably could use a small closed-end wrench or open-end wrench to hold these nuts, but I was able to use a very small crescent wrench on these. Now, when you buy this battery, I went all over the internet, and most of them have F1 and F2 terminals, which are male quick connects that kind of bend out and face that way to the left. You don't want those. You have to find the one with the little bus bars coming up and the holes in them, because you're not going to be able to connect these ring terminals to male quick connects. Okay, you don't want F1 and F2 terminals. That's what the male quick connects are. I'll show you the battery I bought. This is the original one, 12 volt, 8 amp hour. I was able to find a 12 volt, 9 amp hour that's about the same size, and they put these foam things on each side so it doesn't wiggle about. So when you're looking down on the unit like this battery goes in just like this with the negative terminal down, obviously, because that's where the negative wires are, down there, and on top are your positive wires. So that's about it. This is a great unit. Oh, and the this side here, you could just unplug the compressor and test it on another 12 volt source. Positive is the red and negative is the black. So there's 2 female bullets here, these 2. So you can just get this out of the way while you're working on this part. Now, I'm waiting for the battery to come in the mail. I think I got a Mighty Max battery. I'll show you a photo of it at the end of the video. There'll be some photos of this thing fully assembled too. And we'll take it from there. See you in a bit. So that's what the front of it looks like with all the business. And I just wanted to show you, here's the cigarette lighter port right there. That's cigarette lighter jack. Nice circuit boards, surface mount components on here. And here we have through-hole components. That's for your, to make sure you didn't reverse your alligator leads on your battery. Let you know the connection is right. There's your charging dynamo to manually charge. Okay, just waiting for the battery. I'm going to put the battery in. You should be okay. Oh, when you put everything together, be careful. Don't squash. Try not to squash these little wires. I mean, when I took mine apart, it even looked like this insulation was kind of flattened there a little bit. But all in all, a well-made unit. A lot of effort went into designing this, and it's an 8-in-1. It's got a lot of nice features. All right, see you in a bit. So I think I mentioned this before. The battery I chose, I have no idea if it's a good quality battery. It's Mighty Max. It was $30, and there's on the old battery there's these foam things on the bottom, on the side, and on both sides and the bottom. So there's another one there. So I'm going to probably scrape these off with a screwdriver, and they'll probably keep the new battery from wobbling about. They're very close in size, so the new battery should fit no problem in this compartment here. Okay, here's a quick commercial break for the Christmas carousel. Okay, I'm very happy. The battery came. It's a Mighty Max ML9-12NB, 12 volt 9 amp hour. Came with some hardware. Basically these thick nuts and hex Phillips. Not going to use these though. I'm going to use these. All right, let's take it out and see what it looks like. All right, so here's what it looks like. Pull off these protective terminals, but it's got the right ones. It's got the protective covers on, so they don't short out. Mighty Max product registration cards with a QR code on the back. Okay. Oh, let's put them next to each other, and you could see they're pretty much the same form factor. Should be good. All right, let's get going. First thing, here's some specs here. First thing I'm going to do is take off the 3 foam pieces from the old one and just hopefully it'll stick to the new one. Okay, so I just transferred the 3 foam pads. I scraped them off the old one with a screwdriver, so they're not on the old one anymore, but they didn't stick too well, so I just put some regular Scotch tape just to hold them in. You can also silicone them. You could use silicone if you want, but they're captured, so they're not going anywhere. I just use some Scotch tape just to temporarily hold them until I get them in here. All right, let's move on. Okay. Okay, we're going to just move this out of the way for now, if we can. Okay. On the old setup, the ring terminals are on the outside of the battery. Okay. They're on the outside, and the nuts are on the inside. So we'll do it the same way. All right, well, that's a good sign that it fits. Whoops. I don't know if my head's in the way here, but lock wash is on. Okay. Well, of course, that's not going to go on easy, right? Okay. Alrighty then. So, I want to see if I can just pick this up a little bit. Get my positive out of the way. Okay, fellas. Okay, I'm gonna get my one of these Phillips screwdrivers here. All right, almost there. See if I could. I'm turning the screw, but the nut is turning. So let's try holding the nut this time. Yeah, I think it's easier to hold the screw. All right, yeah, the screw's definitely turning now, so. I'm gonna pause this and get my other screwdriver. All right, are we running? Yeah, okay. Now, don't rush this part because, you know, this is going to be in your car. A lot of vibration. Got to make sure these are tight. what I'm doing is I'm pressing the battery down on my Phillips screwdriver. The short stubby one is wedged against the table. So alright, that looks good. Let's just give a test. Nope, I don't like that. It's still not tight. So we're gonna go for it. Yeah, I mean, I have a small ratchet set. I think the best thing would be some small opening wrench or something. So, I mean, fast forward this. You know what I'm doing? I'm doing the top. I'm doing the negative, then I'm going to do the two positives on the top. So, if you want to fast forward, by all means. There we go. That's so tight I bent the terminal. All right, that's good. So I'm going to do the positive now. Now for the positive, let's see. No, we'll still leave the battery out of its compartment. Now remember, don't touch the negative with the positive, please. We don't need any explosions here. Okay. That's nice and tight. All right, let's get the positive one on. Let's see if we're still running here. Yep. Okay. Okay, so I'm holding the lock washer with this finger till I can thread the nut on. I think I have a safer way of doing this. I'm going to hold the nut there underneath. Just get her threaded like this. Yeah, she's threaded. You saw what I did there, right? This one's going to be easier because it's more accessible. Now I gotta be careful not to touch this. Just gotta be careful. Alright, I'm just gonna get it tight enough with the screw. Ooh, Nelly. It's funny how the new ones are on an angle. I mean, that's because I didn't get a shock, that's just nerves. That's because these are a little thinner, these bus bars coming out of this battery compared to the original one. Alright, I'm just going to tighten these up. I'll pause the camera so you don't have to be bored. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I don't know if you saw it. Oops. What would I do? Okay. Alright, I'm sorry. I don't know if the positive one was on camera. But I just tightened up the positive. So they're both tightened, and let me just fix this here. They're both tightened, and they're both they're both where they were as far as the wire orientation. So let's see if we can seat the battery in its compartment with care. And that's where it goes. It's in its compartment with care. Let me take this here for you. Let's see, where are we? Okay. So there's the batteries, slightly angled, but they're not touching. They're very tight. If I tighten these anymore, I would probably strip them. So I'm content with how tight they are. And the battery is seated nicely. The foam is working nicely on the ridges here, molded into the plastic. We got one more here. So we're just going to put this together now. See if I can get this tripod set up and not too much zoomed in. Sometimes you zoom in too much, and I want you to see detail, but not at the expense of seeing important things. Now the left side here, can you see this? Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. So we're just going to get him in. There's a slot here. There's a little slot that this piece goes in. So it's like a puzzle, see? I'll show you. Same with the other side. See? Goes down there. Nice and tight. There's a molded stair. It is there, okay? If you look down in there, you could see this goes in nice, and this is what it looks like on the bottom. Okay. All right, so this side's in, and this side we're just going to be very careful. A lot more wires on this side. So yeah, I was lazy. I should have got an opening wrench. It'd been a lot easier to hold those. Oh, this popped out, of course. Okay, it's back in already. So once again, there's a lot of small wires here. But same thing, there's a slot here. There's a compartment here. All the wires come out of this cutout, this plastic cutout. All right. So, put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Like that. There. See, I mean, it's a puzzle. It's only going to go together one way. And don't try to make any shortcuts. Think of it like a jigsaw puzzle. Now, if something's fighting you, like this is fighting me, that just means something's in the way. Now, these two have to, oh yeah, these are kind of, that's good. This guy we're going to shove in there. There, that connector. These go to the top, okay? So, I'm going to say, yeah, there's a heavy gauge wire here, the negative. I just got to push that down. All right. Good. We still on here? Still rolling? We are rolling. Thank you. Okay, now this part, you just have to connect. These are the compressor wires. Now, I already checked the charging circuits in this before. What I did was I plugged in the the AC charging adapter. You plug it in here, then you plug it in the wall. Then I just took my meter on the battery terminals, and I saw that the battery voltage was over 13 volts. So that just tells me the charging circuitry was good, and the battery was the problem. Okay, now. I just want to route that wire nicely. Make sure this compressor's off, otherwise it's going to scare the crap out of me once I hook this red wire up. There. Okay. Now, okay, as far as the compressor wires, good, press them down. Press them down because you don't want them on top of the battery, because they're going to get squashed. I should have said on the side of the battery. You don't want them in between the battery and the plastic, because they're going to get squashed. And that's the way it was put together, with these wires squashed. So I'm trying to do this in an unsquashed manner. Okay, now. That's what you don't want, a red wire right over where the screw has to go into the boss there. See where this goes? There's a boss down there, and you don't want the wire in the way. Now, so you want to make sure there's nothing obstructing the bosses. There's only a few in there where the wires are. Okay. I mean, you know, you don't depend on this thing for your life, folks. It's a very useful thing, but I wouldn't put too much stock into it. Most of the time you got to use these things, and when you need them, they're dead. Okay, I'm going to try to show you what I'm doing here. I'm just try to angle this. Okay, I'm just these two compressor wires. There's a red and a black one over here that I'm just trying to route them down in between really the top of the battery, so they don't get kinked, they don't get squashed by those plastic ridges that are designed to go against the foam in the battery. And don't forget your handle. Your handle gets captured in here. It gets captured by the two halves. Like that. Okay. Let me angle this back down. Okay. Still rolling? Yep, still rolling. You know, I may be overdoing it here, but I'd rather do it right the first time. I'm just sliding the handle in. Sorry, I can't show you. Oh, okay, there's three bosses that the holes in the handle go inside. Let me show you. Oh. See? 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Back to work. Remember what I said, like a puzzle, right? Okay, now everything looks like it should on the outside. So then, now I'm just going to put in the screws. I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to show me putting in the screws. Okay, I can tell you it's working right already because this thing's powerful. Hear that? So it definitely was the battery. You know, I lend this out sometimes, so I don't know if someone shorted the output and damaged the old battery. You know, people abuse these things. They're pretty rugged, but they're also very sensitive. Especially if you short the output out, you could damage the battery. So I'm going to pause this a sec. All right. Keep in mind you're screwing into plastic, so just snug it. Snug it, but don't strip the threads. Yeah, several turns. Now these three, this gets in the way, so I actually use a small flathead. There we go. So when I make a video like this or do a process, I always ask myself, how would I do this differently? Okay, I would just throw it in the garbage and get a new one. No, I'm kidding, of course. These are worth changing the battery, and I'll tell you why. When these first came out, they were about $70, $80 for brand new, and now they're up to like $150, $160, something like that. Definitely, I'm happy that this is fixed. And once again, this is the battery I used. Don't know how long it'll last, but it was $30. Now, the only other battery I saw that would fit and had the correct terminals, like these, was an Interstate AGM. That's absorbed glass mat. So it's not a lead acid, so I didn't want to take the chance with it. But that was the only other one. This one, that was $39, but this one here was $30. All right, thank you for watching, everybody. I'll show some photos at the end of the video. Well, do I have to show some photos? I think I showed everything in the video. Well, we'll see. So that's your Rally 7471 Powerpack. It's a good unit. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. All right, I charged it. It blinked. The light blinked for a very short while, and then it became green. That means the battery's fully charged.